Hello. Question. Have you ever been to Yum Cha? Me, myself, is not a fan. Why? I'll tell you why. When I was a tiny fat kid, my dad used to take me to Yum Cha. He loves the thing, right? And we'll sit down, and then he'll start reading his papers, and then he'll look at me, and he'll be like, "Hey, boy, why don't you get some food? What you doing, kid?" Right? So I'll go out, and literally, I am a fat kid in a candy store, right? All the good stuff is available to me. There's so I took some Chinese barbecue meat buns, some siu mai, some chicken legs, chicken feet. We actually eat that stuff, and also some steamed fish gills, right? A ton of food. Then I'll bring all that food back, and then my dad will yell at me, like, "Hey, what the hell is all this food? How could you finish all this food?" And I'm like, that would take me like 10 minutes. Like, shut up! You don't talk back to an adult. Why would you talk to an adult like this? And then as a kid, I can't take this, right. So tears would be starting tears would start dropping from my eyes, and then my dad would be like, "Hey, don't you cry on me, huh? Don't you cry on Jaji." And eventually I'll cry anyways, and then it will be a scene, and imagine how terrible is that for a kid, right? So we finished that food, and we left. So a few weeks passed by, and then my dad will start to ask me again, "Hey, kiddo, do you wanna go Yum Cha?" And I was like, "Nah, no, 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 no." And he will have all kind of reasons, right? And like, "Hey, hang out with your old man, kid. And what will you eat? I won't buy you anything else." So eventually, my heart will soften, and I'll go with him, right? And this time, remembering the lesson from last time, right? I'm not the most stupid kid on earth, thankfully. So this time, I went out, and I only took two kinds of food, right? And I took them, and I went back, and guess what? I get yelled at again. And hey, how can we finish this little food for two-person, right? Go out and take more. And guess what happens if I get more? The life cycle begins again. When I take more, I came back, and I get yelled at again, right? And then you know what happens. The full circle, right? The full circle, right? So eventually the people from Sunday church asked me, "Hey, why you reject your dad so much, huh? And hey, build some build a good relationship with your dad, right?" I'll be like, "Hey, trust me, the best way to build a relationship with my dad is not to go." And they'll eventually shut up about it. All right, that's my comedic attempt for the day. Hope that's at least somewhat entertaining. It was for me for various reasons. So with that out of the way, we're off to our arts lesson section of the show, right? Just imagine that something bad will happen if you don't get the art information, all right? So by the power of the technology, I have shrunk, and let's see what are we looking at today. So today we're doing a mid-tone study. So it's pretty important for artists to study mid-tones, especially for tattoo artists, because we don't have access to the full range of value, right? Meaning the darkest dark to the lightest light. So we are always working on skin, right? Unless you're unless you're working on a vampire or something, you won't have the lightest white to work on, right? So controlling values is huge. So today we'll study from this movie scene from Blade Runner 2070 2047. Sorry if I get that wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right this time. All right. So how do we do this? All right. So what I liked about this scene is that it has a strong triangular shape here, and then two small triangles here, right? Two small triangles here, and in this scene, this android is going to attack Ryan Gosling. So these triangles show that he's sharp, right? It's pointy, it's dangerous, and it's really strong. He's not a guy you want to mess with. And also, I really like what Ridley Scott did with the dark tones here. Like you could see his silhouette, his edges is sinking into the dark, showing his dark intentions, which is trying to attack our boy Ryan Gosling, right? So with this analyzing out of the way, I have decided which value range I'll use within these midtones. So this is 1 for the lightest and 10 for the darkest, right? So we're operating around here, this range, right? Sorry, this is the darkest, this is the lightest, right? So this is our darkest dark, right? So you could see on the movie screen, the darkest dark is the background. So we use this value. I fill this value on the background, and eventually work down this way. So I'll end up like our lightest light is around a 3 or 4, depends on how you put it. So first, I'll sketch in my line drawing. So there are my learning points here. So our main learning point is value control, right? Trying to communicate with midtones, but also there's subquests. There is subquests. Our subquest is composition and shape management. So I'm trying to manage my shapes when I am drawing in the the frame, and eventually I work up to my second darkest value, which is around here. But actually, oh no, I used I used this one first to build up the somewhat light value to make a dark and light kind of thing going, and eventually blocking in the after blocking in the colors, I've I've fixed the shapes, and eventually put in that satisfying highlights on the face, which you can see. I'll consider this study a success because when you turn it into grayscale, despite we don't have all the light and dark, I think this is pretty communicatable. Still very good. Still strong enough to get a message across, right? So yeah, that's a success. So for application, I've decided to mix this guy with a Japanese Daruma, which is those Japanese toys thing. So I'll mix it with a Daruma. So if you don't know, this is a Daruma, right? And I'll try to apply what I've just learned on it, right? So this is what I've got finally, right? Surprisingly matching the Daruma Man from Blade Runner, who knows, right? So that's it for today for the studying part. Hope you give it a try. I find it really beneficial. I can speak. To me, that I could use so little value to tell a story and reserve my darkest dark and the most important contrast for the focal point eventually moving on. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching